And I want to get real personal about this because this was the first mission of our crew. But before I do that, I'd like to mention to you that on August the 22nd of 1944, we lost 8 planes to German fighters. On August the 23rd, we lost 9 more. Now, anyone that had been on both of those missions had a 2/3 chance of either dying or being shot down. So, would anyone stand up that was on either one of those missions? Anyone else on the 22nd? No. I think you, were you shot down on the 22nd?
No, that was the 13th of October.
October 13th?
Yeah. He survived both of them.
Yeah. So, anyway, so these were special missions. And as I mentioned to you, it was our crew's first. Now, we had a great pilot, every confidence. He was a captain, which was very unusual for a new crew. And because he was a captain and already was renowned, Captain Hopkins was being considered for a position in wing, which is a step up from the group. And because of that, there was some upper echelon person or two flying with us. And even though we were a new crew, we were flying in the number 2 position, meaning up front, and we were also the lead squadron in the bomb group, which meant we were up front. So, having said that, the first thing that happened to us was a B-17 came up on our right wing, and far enough away that we probably couldn't shoot it down, but close enough to be well aware of what was going on. And we didn't know whether this was a friendly B-17 or a German B-17 that had been captured. And we soon learned the latter. But we hadn't been briefed about captured B-17s. So after a fashion, why we realized that it was a German manned B-17 that was coordinating the fighter attack. And at an appropriate time, we did fire upon it. It was one of the few times that, from the top turret, that I could use my guns that day. But the German attack came from out of the clouds below and about 7 o'clock. That meant that the nose gunner, Jack Jones, and the top turret gunner, myself, and the right waist gunner on our plane really could not participate in the defense of the bomb group. But our turret belly turret gunner, Paul Anderson, was in a position to do so, and Paul feels, and we feel too, that he shot down the plane that attacked Bob Anderson. From the top turret, I could see pretty much everything, and the plane that shot Bob down, I probably was not much farther from me than maybe twice the distance of this wall. And I could see the pilot's head, and the flames from Bob's plane were almost engulfing the fighter. He was that close to the tail of your plane. We had 9 planes quickly that went down. Some exploded. Some you could see people bailing out. So we received a Presidential Unit citation for that mission. And Bob, would you like to tell about what happened to you? What happened inside the plane and what happened?
Okay.
Before I get started,
Wait, I want to
background before I get into the bloody stuff. And I do have a copy of the original citation that the government had hosted at that time. As a presidential citation. I will not read the whole thing, but I have copies here, and I'll leave them here so you get all the details. But some of the highlights of this citation is related to not only what the flight crew did, but it mentions very nicely in the beginning of the citation, and I will read it. Ground crews worked with enthusiasm to ensure the mechanical perfection of their planes for the forthcoming mission. Now, the ground crews were dedicated to their airplanes like they were family. And I always appreciated this, even as a young person with not so much sentiment for much things, but this I appreciated. These guys worked all night on the airplane to make sure it was properly ready for the next mission. And if you brought that airplane back, busted up, they kind of felt bad for you, I'll tell you. Sorry we didn't bring ours back, but probably bothered them a lot too also. And on the citation it also says the 451st is an outstanding performance of duty in armed conflict with the enemy. Those are powerful words in my estimation. And this is so well written. And in those days, a well-written general ordering was more or less cold and stoic. This has a lot of feeling to it, so you may appreciate reading it. And they bring something up also that I never knew, that the fighters that didn't come after us, they came abreast, 6 to 10 abreast, and like Wynne said, out of the clouds from below us, and attacked us with 20 millimeter cannon. And again, I say 20 millimeter cannon instead of 50 millimeter cannon. If it was a machine gun, our self-sealing tanks would have sealed off punctures into the gas tank, because our tanks were in the upper wing above the bomb bay, and they put a 20 millimeter into one of those tanks, and there's no self-sealing tank that's going to hold that gasoline back, and that's what happened to us. And then of course it goes on to tell that the enemy at this time was highly aggressive, and they were. I say when we got into the combat area, and we knew that we were going to get jumped at any time, the pilot knew at last, because the first thing you felt was a machine gun going off in your airplane. Then you knew they're coming. We were trying to defend ourselves. And of course the radio started to tell what direction they're coming from, where there was, how many, and so forth. And let's see, what else? Now, I got it highlighted here, but my eyes, I got to focus. That gallant crews battled their way through the overwhelming enemy opposition to the target. That's important too. They were never turned away. The 451st had the reputation of a bomb group that always, except the weather or something like that, the enemy never got away with turning us away. And I think that's very, very something to be very proud of as a group. The Germans definitely were surprised that the tenacity of the American airmen was what it was. And kind of took them down a peg. They thought they were superior. And now we get down to the last comment, and I think it's a great one. The 451st Bombardment Group has upheld the highest traditions of the military service, thereby reflecting great credit upon themselves and the armed forces of the United States. And that is so true. All right, now we get back into my personal stuff instead of morning of the takeoff, the 23rd of August, 1944. As Wynn mentioned, the 22nd was no bargain either. And that was the first mission we flew as a crew. When you arrived at the 451st Bomb Group, they brought the crew up temporarily to more or less train us on what's expected on the missions. And of course, I was separated from my co-pilot and my whole crew, and I flew with other crew members to learn the missions we were on. And we saw a flag with no fighters, and it didn't seem like it was that threatening. However, on the 7th mission, we formed together and we came back to our own aircraft, the one we flew overseas from Mitchell Field to the Azores, down across North Africa, and up to the 451st Bomb Group. And all a bunch of kids, except the flight engineer, who's a little bit old. They called him Pop. He was a nice guy. Karpinski is his name. He was killed. However, you think about the irony of it, that I didn't even have a driver's license. And here they gave me a $280,000 airplane with 9 guys to fly across 5,000 miles. Unbelievable. And a lot of guys did it. It's a salute to the country and the people that organize this type of activity and training, that this job got done. And we had 2 wars to fight on both sides of the United States. And they accomplished this. They supplied us. And as I say, it's a miracle. It's a genius. They had no computers, hand typewriters. You hit a key to get the damn thing to print. No electricity. And we got this accomplished. And it was so well organized. I have, in my possession, and I'm lucky to have it, is my service record. On that service record, about the size of a newspaper sheet, 1 page, had everything I ever did in service. And it's very accurate. And it was all hand entered. No computers. Amazing. And this didn't just happen once, it happened thousands and thousands of times. So it's quite a tribute to this country. What we can do, we have to. Can't handle it. Okay. Now we're at the morning, say the 22nd was the day before the 4th, plus the day before the 22nd. But that, as I said, that mission was not a piece of cake either. And that was the first mission that we flew as a crew. And Frank, my co-pilot, he hadn't been flying much, and this was his first really deadly mission. And it was really serious as far as enemy fire goes. It was pretty intense. So we got out of the airplane in Italy after the mission, and he says, "Hey Bob, is it always this way?" Frank, this is new to me too.